Hey guys, what is up? It is your friendly neighbor Lucas here. I butchered that, doesn't matter. My internet is still pretty much dead, so in the meanwhile, I'm gonna actually do a little bit of a tutorial. So basic strats and basic glitch guide for Octodad Dadliest catch. And we're gonna start in Gerbson's Grocery. This is a glitch that I personally don't use because it saves about 10 seconds, but it's definitely worth knowing that it exists. So this is called the pizza skip. If you ever see me doing a run, I don't do this. I'm not sure how many people actually do go for this. There's not a lot of people who run this game. Like I said, saves 10 seconds. So what you want to do is you want to line yourself up with your right shoulder pretty much as close to this as possible, and you want to be facing it. That should be good. So then what you want to do is, you can see I have my controller display. At some point you want to start holding U's, because that gives a little bit more jiggle. And all your entire goal here is to just jiggle enough that your arm goes into the door. It's really awful. Not sure what's going on. And this is why it sucks. Because like no matter what you do, it's just inconsistent. So you could sit here for minutes and it wouldn't work. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully I do get it at some point. So it also helps to have a higher sensitivity, which I'll turn that up right now. I'm gonna do it with my mouse so it's easier. Just set to 50. Okay. And also it's mostly just luck, so I'm like clipped into the door. So the reason that this even happens at all is that collision in this game is real bad, and if you actually intersect, if you get something inside this door, and then basically if anything is on the other side of this door, the door pops off. And hopefully this just works at some point. This is like my arm is in there, but I gotta finagle it over. I think I'm in the other. Oh, we're almost there. There it is. So that's the pizza skip. And that's also why I don't go for it. It's real bad. And as you can see, I move really fast with 50 sensitivity. The reason I don't use 50 though is because if I grab things and move them too fast, he'll just drop them. Obviously, I just kind of threw it there, but that's the question that I get a lot. I'm planning on moving to 50 sensitivity and then using my mouse for the parts that I actually have to move things, which will probably help a lot, because mouse sensitivity is actually separate. So now that we're done with that, the next glitch is the Ticket Proxy. This is one that I've started wanting to use in my runs, so we're gonna show it off. If you've been watching this channel, you probably have seen the I do have one video of it, I think, where I somehow save a ridiculous situation. But the basic idea is you wait for this guy, and then you wanna get the back of Octodad as close to the ticket, and then it'll fling you. And look at that. It's not consistent. That worked out really well. But you have a variety of outcomes that can happen, and I do plan on making a video describing the outcomes, because I have messed with the Ticket Proxy quite a bit, so I have a pretty deep understanding of it. I saw the word deep, so I said deep. So I do plan on making a more advanced video going in depth with the Ticket Proxy. Mostly theoretical stuff, and you know, a diagram sort of thing. Anyway, next glitch. This is one that you do use in runs because it saves upwards of 3 minutes. And this actually works even on the current patch, because even though the checkpoint doesn't appear, it still triggers. So what you want to do so if you're on 50 sensitivity, you should be able to fly up here no problem. Like, no problem at all. Once your feet leave the ground, then you just kind of soar. But yeah, so let's go in depth a little bit. So what you want to do is you want to hold up on the right stick, because that lifts your right arm. You go straight up. And then you want to hold towards the slide on the left stick, which will, what that does is it gives him two different forces, because the way Octodad's physics work is that everything that you do just applies force, and that's why his entire body sways, is because he's just a mess of rubber bands. So then once you're holding that, then you want to hold U's, which by default is A and right bumper, as you can see. Yeah, there's right bumper, there's A, but you can also bind any amount of anything, any input to anything. So I have left bumper set because it's more comfortable for me. And then once the camera flips, just hold down, and then you're home free. And once you get high enough, which, you know, you can figure that out yourself. Basically, once you're... The safest spot is once your torso is fully up the slide. Then you can just go back down and exit. And that was 1:20 for the IL there, and I went in depth with it. So it's very easy to save a lot of time doing that. And then the other main thing, one of the main things is in Shark Naked. This level, you probably have seen and heard on my stream when I'm doing runs of this game. I just mash. So when you're on easy, not only does it, as you can see, difficulty easy, not only does it change it so there's no suspicion mechanic, but what it also does is you move, I want to say it's like 5% faster or something. I don't know why. I don't think they've ever said why or what, but it's very clear that you move faster on easy. And the easiest spot to see it is here. So once you've started going, if you just keep mashing, you'll maintain top speed. If I delay and then mash, it'll put me up to top speed. It accelerates you about as much as a little burst, like maybe 10 to 20% burst every time that you mash. So the faster you mash, the more uptime you'll have of maximum speed, because there is a top speed. So the fastest, there is a fastest possible time on this IL. I still haven't gotten it because it's ridiculous. You have to actually have a plan set forth for the part where you have to dodge stuff. But all you gotta do is mash here. I stop mashing here because if the shark will still kill me, and then I'll start mashing again after a pause, and that's it. You just mash straight through. So that's not a big one, but it's important to know you cannot mash on any other difficulty, so it is tied to difficulty rather than physics. So there's one more thing in Hot Concessions that I want to show, but first I want to go into Silent but Dadly. Silent but Dadly is a level that, when you're on easy, is incredibly trivial, but I might as well show the strat that the people who run on normal/hard use. And I say normal/hard because they're basically the same thing, but nobody wants to run hard for some reason, even though the route is identical pretty much. You shouldn't die there on hard as long as you're fast enough. So then you want to run over here. Normally we would just run past the scientist, but if you're on a higher difficulty, you want to fly against this wall. It might take a bit to actually get the angle on your tentacle. Sometimes flying up vertical surfaces is finicky. So then once you're up here, you just climb up here, and then you scale this thing. And if you do it well, the scientist won't see you at all, and you can go straight over the turnstile and run. Obviously, I executed poorly there, but yeah. Also, I'd recommend, that's something that I did there. Oh boy. Since you can bind an input, any button on the controller, you can bind to any input. I have right and left trigger both also set to my skip cutscene, so right there I don't have to like start holding A or something. I can just keep my rhythm up, and since my rhythm, the right trigger left trigger overlaps, like for a small window, then it won't restart the thing, the skipping of the cutscene. So Hot Concessions is the last one. This is the biggest one. So this doesn't work on the latest patch, but it still works on, it works everything before they updated the maps, pretty much. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip this cutscene. I'm going to walk into the fire. I'm going to restart checkpoint. And what that'll do is if you look in the top right corner, there's going to be like a little arrow in sort of a shape of a floppy disk. And what that is the autosave. So the autosave will get triggered every time that it'll get you to a checkpoint. And it checkpoints you at the spot that you were when the autosave completes. So what that'll do is I move into the fire before the autosave finishes, so it'll checkpoint me in the fire. And all that does is gets me closer to Scarlet. The reason I reload checkpoint is because every time you reload a checkpoint, you have 2 seconds of invulnerability, which is what allows us to just go through the fire to Scarlet. And all that together means that I can get to Scarlet, and she can put me up in the rafters before 10 seconds-ish, if I do it well. And then after that, we'll talk about the other stuff. So, skip cutscene, get in there, and then you want to get both your feet into that trigger. Sometimes she'll just put you in awful spots, but that's okay. So I'll probably be checkpointed in the air here. So I'm just going to move fast. So that's the thing. If you get checkpointed in the air, just move fast. You pretty much always get checkpointed in the air when going into the rafters. If you don't, you're lucky. I don't know. That's the only thing I've found out. So I run over here to this pole for a reason. Basically, I have not triggered Tommy yet. So the chef has to make his way around to Tommy, because Tommy's supposed to happen before Stacy. However, both of these cutscene triggers can actually happen completely independently. So I could run over and trigger Stacy, and then as the chef walks around, he would trigger Tommy. Because Tommy is triggered on the chef moving to a certain spot. Stacy is triggered on the rafter getting touched by a physics object. But I move here because you have to get pretty much to the end of the bananas, and once you're there, and you dangle inside a trigger box, I guess. I'm not sure what it is exactly. But when you're around this area, the chef will be triggered to move faster. Because if you were going the intended way, and you're past the bananas, and the chef is miles behind you, that's what the game uses to catch the chef up, so you're not sitting there waiting for like 10 minutes for the chef to show up and then Tommy to tackle him. But you can trigger it when you're up on the rafters. So we abuse that to get the chef to move faster, and as the chef moves, he knocks tables everywhere, which normally wouldn't be a problem, but since we've already triggered the Stacy, the preliminary Stacy, the prerequisite Stacy, where I could hit the rafter, when the chef is knocking things around, if any one of those physics objects hits the rafter, that will trigger the Stacy cutscene. So it is luck, but it's fairly reliable because the tables get knocked in a pretty specific way. You'll get it probably 95% of the time. So let's just sit here and see what happens. If it doesn't work, you have to make 100% sure to load checkpoint before Tommy's cutscene completes. If Tommy's cutscene starts, you can still load checkpoint and it's fine. But if it completes, then you are completely locked. The only way to fix it is to restart the level completely. You can't even exit and then come back in with the continue option, because it'll continue. You'll be waiting for Scarlet to boost you into the rafters after Tommy has already tackled the chef, and it's a whole mess of things and weird. Anyway, so as you can see, the chef is chugging. He knocked a table into the rafter. Tommy is triggered because the chef is still coming around. Stacy's triggered, and then Scarlet is triggered, and all of the cutscenes overlapped, and then we're allowed to finish the level. And there we go. And that's it. So I hope that was helpful. I plan on going more in depth, like I said, with the Ticket Proxy, and yeah, I hope that this encourages more people to pick up this game, because I think it's a really good speed game. I am running this at SGDQ. I don't know a schedule yet. RomScout is working away at that, so hopefully I'll be able to tell you guys when the schedule's out. And if you've watched this far, be sure to be sure to look in your sub boxes if you're subscribed to me, because I'm gonna have an announcement video for marathon for Matt on the Internet, which is a Twitch team sort of thing that I'm a part of, and we're planning on doing a marathon to raise money for SGDQ. And yeah, I'll have an announcement video out soon, hopefully, because hopefully it'll all be good to go. But we're gonna have a ton of games. It'll be really fun. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Hope this was helpful. Hope more people pick this game up. And yeah, as always, thank you for watching.